1, never take financial advice from a broke person. 2, never take real estate advice from a person that doesn't own real estate or has never owned real estate. I hope this video helps one person out there, because I wish I would have known these things 10 years ago, 15 years ago, but there was nobody there to teach me these ideas. So maybe this will help one person or maybe thousands. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how to financially become a millionaire from zero. I've done it. You've seen it on this channel get documented, and it's pretty easy to just do your research and figure this out about me. And I'm going to tell you what I learned getting to this point, so maybe for you, you can get there faster. And some of this you got to learn the hard way, because most of the time people just won't listen to somebody that's already done it. But this is just a quick shortcut way to get there, and you're going to have to expound on it because I only have 20 minutes or so on this YouTube video. You need to decide right now, do you want to be on the hamster wheel forever, or do you want peace of mind? And the older I get, the more I have decided that peace of mind is worth a heck of a lot. Having a lot of money, having a lot of business, having a lot of obligations can rob you of your peace of mind. So be very careful of that formula. I started out in a lower middle class family in an old shotgun house from the 20s in the middle of nowhere, and with very little, push. Well, I had a push, but I never had a financial platform. My dad was a very normal Southern guy with not a lot of money experience or anything. I had to just get the generic education, and I read lots of books. I got a reading list that accelerated me on that path. I read every financial book there was to read. And if you are a lifelong learner, you can do any of the research yourself. All this information is out there for free. Just consolidating it is hard. Look around at who you think is rich. And then odds are those people aren't rich. The flashy cars, the flashy Rolexes, the flashy houses, if you can look at what they do for a living or have done or within the last 5 or 10 years, and you can't mathematically get to where they are financially, odds are they're not rich. Most of the people I deal with in the real estate world, all the people I know driving Porsches and BMWs are not the rich guys. The richest guy I actually know, I've never seen a clean shirt or a nice pair of shoes, and he usually has a pencil behind his ear. So just realize what true wealth is, and then we can expound on this idea. True wealth is somebody that can not go to work tomorrow, and their lifestyle can be funded forever. They've put enough passive income behind them, or residual income, or income streams, to where they can just say, you know what, I'm not going to work today. They have their time back. They have their ability to make their own decisions back, and they're not slave to another person or a lender. Parental pressure. Let's say you are asking your parents, should I go to college? Should I do this? Should I do that? And they're pushing you in a certain direction. Now, you have to understand what parental pressure is that, hey, is my parents telling me factual information? I'm not telling you not to listen to your parents. I'm saying when you get to be an adult and you do not want to be at the same life pace as them or where they are, you want a different direction, you need to start researching, analyzing, and making your own decision. I didn't have great financial advice growing up. I had to seek it myself. I said, I don't want to be broke. How do I not be broke? And I researched it and I researched it. And I realized a lot of the information I got from my parents was a fallacy. And I had to seek a mentor. A lot of my mentors came in books and on YouTube, and I researched it and I analyzed it and I put together a plan of my life to get to where I needed to be. A lot of life is searching for maps to get to a certain place. Financially or career-wise, you're going along a plan, you're going along a trajectory to get to where you want in life. If you come from a simple background, you got to expand your mind to accept new ideas and new ideologies to get to the mindset that can make you financially successful. If you come from a very conservative background that's poor, well, that is the actual box of your monetary future. You have to learn how to broaden it. I did that by finding people and getting around people that were successful, entrepreneurs, people thinking outside the box, people that are challenging things, and see what true wealth mind is. Okay, let me tell you, the definition of poverty is not what you've been told of being poor. Poverty is a mindset. It's a mindset of saying that I cannot be successful. I cannot get out of this box. Look, you can. The bus leaves every day. Put your shoes on, go and seek it. For me, I had nothing going on. I joined the United States Army. I deployed. I saved every dime. I got an apartment I shared with somebody. My half of it was $300 a month. I saved all my paychecks going through the Army for 5 years. Did I have fun? Yeah, but I put myself on a budget where I was saving so much money that when I got out, I had a springboard to buy a house cash, to buy multiple houses cash, and I started flipping my real estate. I caught a trend on YouTube. One of the biggest ways to become wealthy is to find a trend and squeeze it until it dies. And then you try to find another trend and you squeeze it until it dies. People will say you're lucky. Those are the poverty-stricken minds out there. The high school Harrys that judge you for a new idea, starting a new business, starting these new things. We're not in high school. Entrepreneurs don't play by that. They go out and they say, this is working. I'm going to do this until I can't do it anymore. Your parents might make fun of you. Your friends might make fun of you. Your girlfriend might make fun of you. Your wife might make fun of you. But you have to analyze those people, like I was saying before. Are they successful? Have they done something great? If not, if they're not financially where you want to be, don't listen to them. Go seek a mentor or peers that are in the same field that are successful, and you'll know that you can be successful. Let me tell you, on YouTube, I listen to so many people say, oh, you're a YouTuber. What, you make any money doing that? Oh, well, that's dumb. You make those videos. Look, I listened to it for 8 years, 9 years now. And I can't believe I ever even gave it a thought, because the simple-mindedness of those, never tell a small-minded person a big idea. They will ridicule you, and when you go and look at these people, they're working for a minimum wage somewhere. They're broke. They can barely feed themselves. And that throws me into another thing. If you are trying to get advice from somebody that is super educated, smartest person you know, PhD, and I'm not hating on PhDs. I'm just saying they have a tendency of making fun of new ideas, or they'll say, well, you need to do this financially. So 1, never take financial advice from a broke person. 2, never take real estate advice from a person that doesn't own real estate or has never owned real estate. If you could take that away from this video, you'll be successful. But that being said, when you start telling certain people your ideas, they're going to ridicule you. Don't tell them your ideas. Go to somebody that's in that field, an expert, ask them questions and tell them your idea, and then go and do it. I found a trend in social media. I knew I could get eyeballs from it. I knew I could sell things from it. I knew that I could start businesses from it. And what did I do? I did that, and I squeezed it, and I clawed my way financially to where I am today. Just remember that it can be done. You can change your spot in life. You just have to figure out how to leverage yourself to do that. And you can do it legally, and you can do it honestly. You don't have to go out there and do something dishonest. Whatever you do not complicate your finances. Be very simple. Be very simple with it. You don't have to do all of like what these content creators are telling you to do, all these creative ways and all these fancy maneuvering, financing, and leveraging. It's really not. It's about saving your money, putting it all together, making a good rate of return, and doing it over and over and over again. Learn to specialize in something. For me, I specialized in social media, getting eyeballs, and real estate. I took putting eyeballs with selling the biggest product that I could find. I specialized and knew everything about real estate I possibly could. I learned how to sell. Some of the best income earners you can find around are salesmen. They learn how to sell a product. They won't teach you that in school because sales is one of the best ways to create a high level of income. Educators are not salesmen. They should be, because they're trying to sell an idea and education to somebody. But if you have sales skills, the sky's the limit. You could sell anything around you. You can do anything and you'll never go hungry. So the next things I want to talk about, student loans, home loans, investing, etc. Look, the debtor is slave to the lender. There is no way around that. Why? Because it's an obligation. If you have obligations, that means you can't walk away from it. And that's why Dave Ramsey always says these things. Now, leverage is a double-edged sword. It can be your greatest, ability to elevate yourself, or it can also cut you upside down, okay? Now, I don't do leverage. I don't have time for it. I don't need it. I don't want it because it's an obligation. And I've realized this. There's nothing better than paid for real estate. Let me tell you and let me explain. When you have 30 properties and you have leverage on it, the bank tells you what kind of insurance you have to have, what you can do with it, where you can transfer it, and you have an obligation every month to service that debt, okay? You can't walk away from it unless you sell it. And to sell it could take 6 months. To go through a portfolio of 30 properties, it could take a year to sell them. Even if it's in a financially good position to sell them. You got to do depreciation schedules, you got to do finances on these rents, you got to do all these things. CPAs and financial advisors are not cheap. And if you do not have the books correctly on them, most of them won't even deal with you. I have a financial advisor, and if you bring him some hogwash books, he's going to tell you to go right out the door. So let me just put it this way. If insurance triples or doubles, which it has now on 30 properties that you don't have the cash to support, you will go down. I know lots of real estate experts that ridiculed me about leverage doing that right now. And it's their own fault. Never go above 50% leverage if you're going to do it. But if you don't have to, don't do it. Me, I see a property, I want it, I can close in 5 days. I get a good deal off that. I don't care about your inspections because I know enough about the real estate I'm trying to buy. Don't do that until you're an expert. The bank is trying to say, hey, this checklist will keep you safe. And then the reason why they're making you do this checklist of inspections, etc., is keep them safe. So by them being safe, you're being safe. Now, I don't want to have a lender tell me what I got to do with speed up clauses and all these things. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to buy it cash and I'm going to get a better deal. And odds are I couldn't close on the property I'm about to close on because the bank would require me to have an insurance policy I don't even need or want, because I'm going to do the repairs to the property and then the property is going to be able to get insurance on it. I've done many videos on it. Go check that out. So whether it's credit cards or home loans, cash is king. You should definitely have the amount of cash to put a strong down payment down, because here's what happens. One, you're paying interest on all the money, okay? And two, if you don't have the money when you get into the real estate deal to do repairs, insurance premiums, hot water heaters, ACs that go out, or your insurance goes up, you're going to go belly up. That's why they call mortgage brokers keep you broker. You got to be able to support the real estate deal when you get into it, or you're going to be in a mess. I see a lot of people do a 100% financed house. They can't afford anything but the basic inspection and premium. They get in the house falls apart, and they're like, well, how do I repair this stuff? Pipe breaks, floors swell, things happen. You got to be able to support it financially, or it's going to be a bad day. You might as well just rent. I don't like the idea of renting, but if you're bouncing around from place to place, sometimes renting is better. If you're going to be there for a minute, well, because I rented for the first part of my life, but I did it cheaply. I did it ethically. I did it where I wasn't buying too much of a piece of property. Now, or renting too much of a piece of property. Now, same way with a house. Look, they all say, oh, have your mortgage, and it's good debt. Look, there is no good debt. Let me tell you something about a mortgage. That interest rate you got, 2%, well, it doesn't matter if your insurance triples, okay? That's number one. Number two, your 2 payments misses away from foreclosure and you lose everything you have in the deal. You lose all the equity, you lose everything you've built up, okay? 3, homestead exemption in most states. If you get litigated, you can usually keep your house, okay? That money you have tied up in that homestead is usually safe. Not an attorney, I'm just telling you how it is. Okay, that's why a paid for home, you gotta live somewhere. Your family's gotta have a safe place. You just don't buy too much property. Look, big houses are built for banks unless you're really wealthy. Okay, everybody's like, oh, 2% mortgage versus putting the rest in the stock market. Let me tell you something about stocks. The delta of risk of it going down, the taxes, and whatever the future market is going to project, you do not know, or that will eat up the spread. When that spread is eaten up, you cannot compare that to a known rate of return of paying down your mortgage, of the peace of mind formula of having a paid off piece of real estate or a place to lay your head. You have to have a foxhole to fight from. That's an old Army saying. You have to have a place to lay your head. When the world goes to crap, you have a place to go back and sit and rest and think about how to go again. That's why I have this little house. It didn't eat up a lot of my cash. I was able to put that cash into other deals, into real estate, which I was savvy in. And I had a place to always come home and sleep when the world went to crap. And that's why I paid off my home. You cannot retire without a paid off home. That is just straight up. By the time you're 65 and you're ready to retire, you got to have a paid for home. If you have a fixed income, and I see it all the time, that mortgage payment will eat into your retirement, and you're going to be broke in retirement. You've got to have a paid for home. And most people downsize when they go to retire. They start in a little house, they get a bigger house, they get a bigger house, then they downsize and they go back to the little house and they pay it off and they retire. Well, you could just not, if you do not, look, lifestyle creep is the number one thing that's going to keep you broke in life. You can't let, as you make more money, your life and your expenditures equal that. You will never gain wealth. But if you can keep your lifestyle down here and you can make 300 grand a year, in a few years, you're wealthy. Okay? And odds are you're going to grow accustomed to that lifestyle and it's going to be fine to you. For me, I'm fine with cheap beer. I'm fine with my regular blue collar friends and we have a great time. I clawed my way there. I know who I am now. You have to find out who you are in life. You have to go and travel and experience and do things to know where you are in life to make these decisions. If you're going to use a credit card, pay it off every month. If you do not have the discipline to use a credit card, don't use a credit card. The key thing is discipline. And that's why Dave Ramsey tells everybody not to use a credit card, because most people don't have that discipline because it's easy to just swipe. For me, every dollar out hurts because I've been poor. I don't want to be poor again. So I have dug the foxhole to say I will never be homeless, I'll never be poor. I'll always have a car to transport me in. I realized those things were most important in my life, and that's what I started out trying to afford. And then I just went on from there. Because once your house is paid for, you can eat at any restaurant, you can do anything you want because your life's paid for. You have no bills. The key is no bills. And if you have bills, your passive income can pay for your bills. And if you don't want to go to work the next day, you ain't got to. You are slave to nobody. And that is a great feeling. I want you to go look up the rule of 72 and know how long it will take you to double your money with the rate of return that you're trying to get. Look, I'll talk about at the end of this video, 8% to get rich takes a long time. And odds are, by the time you factor in inflation and risk and peace of mind and what the taxes are going to be in the future are going to be, you don't know if that's going to be your true rate of return. So just keep that in mind. Know what all the formulas are of finance. Go out there, Google it, and they'll tell you all the different formulas you need to know to offhand compute what your rate of return is and try to play for doubles. And I'll talk about doubles later. So let's talk about student loans. I have never been a fan of student loans. My wife had student loans. She had a ton of student loans. And we flipped a real estate property. It was one of her houses to pay for her student loans. The student loans will eat up your income. They will probably keep you from buying a house for a very long time. And you really got to know, is your degree going to make enough money to pay off those student loans and be worth it? Most people have not done that analysis. It's just like buying a business. You are your business, okay? And you have to learn how to run it. And consuming debt and a non-bankruptable manner. You cannot bankrupt this debt because the government loves those little student loans because you were slave to the government to work on the hamster wheel forever until it's paid for. People are like, oh, I'm never going to pay for them. Well, good luck with that. So you've got to say, is it worth it? And if it's not, trades are fine. Going and starting a business is fine. Look, electricians, plumbers, pipe fitters, all those trades out there right now, pound for pound, making more money than most of those people working in those air-conditioned buildings with all those student loans. They have been robbed of their wealth, their ability to accumulate wealth because of the student loans. The interest rates are horrendous on some of them. The education they got is not competitive anymore because everybody's got them. Meanwhile, everybody's arguing over an electrician, a plumber, trying to get a skilled tradesman out, a welder. Those guys are in such high demand. In the next 5 to 10 years, if you have a trade and you create a business around it, that's the quickest way to being a millionaire. Bar none. Or you get a business degree and you go and get a trade, become an electrician or whatever, and you run an electrical company or a plumbing company, millionaire. This over here, you're going to be working for the man for the rest of your life. So, being an engineer or things like that where the degree is worth it, great. But don't expect to make hundreds of thousands of dollars with your degree. Even a lawyer. Most lawyers I know, they hate it. Okay? They are stressed out, overworked, and odds are as a real estate agent, I make more money than them. I'm just saying, there is always a way to make money out there. Don't think it's the traditional way, and that's what I was talking about, your parental peer pressure. If they are pushing you, like my dad pushed me to be a lawyer, glad I didn't do that. But that's all he knew for me to do. Like, he saw lawyers, saw they looked rich, and he wanted me to be that. Go and do your own market analysis. Say, do I want to do that? There's lots of ways to make money. And I wish somebody would have told me that. I didn't have to do just that. Next, taxes. Tax is going to be the number one robber of your wealth. You got to create a tax strategy, and you got to operate within the corporate structure. You got to go out and figure out the rest of that. Go figure out how to make your own business and work within the tax structure and have a tax strategy, because there's no point of chasing 6% and getting taxed at 35%. Now, I can expound on that. I'm going to have to make a whole video on that, but just those are the nuggets. You got to go out and research. CPA, EA, those guys will make you more money than just about anybody else because they're going to save you on your taxes. IRS audits are very awful. Don't get into one, and make sure your books are squared away. Know where every dollar is going at all times, because you are your own business. Look, one of the biggest trampolines I have found in getting wealthy is real estate, because the amount of equity you can make or lose in it is based upon sometimes sweat equity. Sometimes you can muscle it into a good deal. There's a moat to the education structure around it. A lot of people don't know anything about real estate, so your competition is narrowed down to a handful of people. Being able to own your own house, live in it 2 of the last 5, and sell it tax-free is a great way of catapulting yourself financially. Whether you're using leverage or not, if you buy a house and while you're there, you work on it and you increase the square footage and the market appreciates and you buy that smallest house on the biggest block, and before you know it, you've got $100,000 in equity, you sell it, you take that tax-free gain, consult your own blah, blah, blah tax person, but just go look it up. You got that $100,000 and you're on to the next deal. Now, if you bounce into the next biggest house, well, you just circulated that equity into a bigger house, and you've got to decide on whether you want to do that or go into another little house and keep the $100,000. And you flip your way to wealth. Well, don't ever lose your first source of income. When you're doing that, and let's say you're a W-2 and you flip the house and you take the $100,000 that you just make, well, don't lifestyle creep. Because once you start lifestyle creeping, you're going to eat into all your profit. But if you stay in that same little happy lifestyle you've been doing, you're going to do well. So it's really hard to make this into a short video because there's so much on all these topics. I'm just trying to give you nuggets to go on as a young person or a person that's chasing wealth, trying to better yourself, and that's what I'm trying to do here. Remember, just about everything you're going to do in finance, there is a formula for it. Just like real estate, dollar per square foot per year is the maintenance formula on a piece of real estate. You're buying a big house, compute it, you know what kind of maintenance you're going to have every year. That goes for the 10% rule on should you buy something, etc., etc. You have to do a little analysis on these things before you do it. Growing wealth is about trends and chasing the double. If you can double your money on a deal, execute it and move on. People asked, why did I sell my little house in Navy Point? And they were like, it could have been worth so much more. But I had made a really good return, and pigs get slaughtered. So you execute it and you move to the next deal. Never get caught in a deal being piggish. Never try to hold out for that extra $100 when you've got a great return right in front of you. Be smart. Don't put your feelings into the deal. Never be emotional in any type of financial transaction. Sometimes you can be your own enemy by representing yourself. Only a fool represents himself. And so keep that in mind, whether it's legal expertise, real estate expertise, financial expertise. If you're not capable of controlling your emotions, let somebody else handle your stuff. That's my soapbox on that. The whole idea of getting rich quick is a fallacy. Don't fall for it. There's been many of guys out there and soothsayers trying to say, hey, you can get rich quick by this. No, you're not going to get rich like that. And most of the time, you're going to lose your money. Look at most of the crypto experts, and there you go. You are going to get rich by specializing in something, by getting really good in one sector, finding a trend and squeezing it until it dies. That's the honest truth. You're going to work your face off for 10 years and you can be wealthy. Can you be wealthy in real estate in 5 to 10 years? Yes. You can learn how to sell it, you can learn how to flip it, you can learn how to wholesale it, you can learn how to invest in it, you can learn how to do a lot of things. But you have to find your industry, whatever it is, and specialize in it and get good at it. And don't try to over-diversify, because that's kind of a myth too. Like, too much of one thing is never good. You have to develop a knowledge, and you have to go down that rabbit hole. And then spreading your money out too much, it can be a fallacy too. You have to learn these things on your own, and you have to fail. And at every level of wealth, there is a different set of rules. Your portfolio changes. A portfolio of a young man that doesn't have any money is going to be different than an old man that has money. And then once you get there, you have to learn how to FDIC, how much money can you put in a bank account? How many bank accounts do you have to have? How much can you put in a brokerage? How much can you not put in a brokerage? Then going from, $250 FDIC to $1 million, and $1 million to, going and banking at totally different banks that people have never even heard about, because the normal credit union is not going to be able to handle you. Like, these are all things you'll learn as you go up the ladder. The reason why some people pay cash for properties is you can't keep $1 million in the bank because of FDIC limits. Like, there's a different set of rules as you go up. And you will see, if you ever have high-end clients or you're around those people, they have things going on with their money that you have probably never heard of as a person at a lower status. But you learn as you go, and you got to constantly keep learning, because once you make $1 million, if you do not know how to handle it and become a millionaire, as in the mindset of a millionaire, it will go away from you. Somebody will steal it, it'll go up your nose, you'll develop some type of vice, or it will eat you up. Like, money is like gasoline, and if you do not know how to use it, it will set your world on fire, or it'll go right through your fingers. Look, getting wealthy is not about chasing a 6% return. You'll be old and gray before you ever see any wealth. And by the time you factor in inflation, taxes, and risk, there's a good chance you didn't get a great return. The S&P 500, honestly, is probably the high water mark of inflation. So just think, hey, if I want to hedge myself in inflation, the S&P 500 is a great place. I'm going to die on that hill, and people are going to argue with me, but I don't care. You are going to gain wealth by upping your income. You have one source of income, you're doing great at it, you're stacking money away, you create another form, whether that's passive in CDs or the market or investments or rental properties or a business or a side hustle or flipping scrap or cutting lawns, or all these things you can do, and then you integrate them to the point where you're going to make more money and more money. The first year you're making 50, then 60, then 85, then 125, then 200, then 300, and then you flip the house and you get hit with the rich person tax, okay? Just know, by upping your income, you're going to become wealthy and you're saving that money. Don't get into this tax game where all of a sudden you're trying to save on taxes and get a F-250 and write it off. No, recapture will get you. Go understand tax recapture. Same way on real estate. Understand the taxes around real estate. Just understand them and do the best you can. But just know, upping your income, catching trends, and using it all in tandem is how you get wealthy. And then once you get wealthy, you don't go broke again. You start playing small ball. Yeah, you might be chasing 50% gains flipping properties, but then when you get $1 million, throw it in at 4%, and then keep making more money. Focus on growing your own businesses. Focus on taking that extra source of income, and then start speculating with this. I love when John Goodman said, "You're building your position of FU," right? You got you a good house, you got you a good car. You save your money, you put it in there, you take risk, whatever, you get to that certain position of wealth, $2 to $3 million. You put that in at 4 or 5%. It pays your taxes. It gets you ability to pay for your life, pays for all your light bill, your house taxes, your insurance. From then on, you're a position of FU. You don't like what your boss has to say? You can go home and figure it out later. Get another job. You can change industries. You can retire if you want to. You can do whatever you want because you know your family's safe. You know you have a place to sleep. You know you have money coming in, and you know you can eat. That is the best feeling you could possibly have. There's nothing they can do to you. But let's inverse that. You got 2 BMWs in the driveway with car notes. You got a $600,000 house with a giant house note. You got half your money coming in going to a 401k, which you don't know the taxes are going to be on in the future, or even if it's going to be any good. And you lose your job. Now what? Most people don't have 6 months of expenses saved up. They don't have any cash. Their credit cards are the only really lines of credit they've got. You're going to lose everything. Or you're going to be on that hamster wheel until you're 70, 75, and you're never going to get off of it trying to pay off all those things. That's not a life I want to be. And so you got to decide which do you want to be in? Do you want to be in the hamster wheel, or do you want to be off the hamster wheel? And after going through COVID and seeing all these things and watching my dad pass away, let me tell you something. Life is short. Live within your means. Have a peace of mind and understand that you don't have to do what all these other people are doing. You can live without it. It's like saying, hey man, I could buy that Rolex right now. Like, just swipe my card and walk out of here, and not doing it. That is a form of wealth right there. So you know what? I can have that BMW right there, cash money. I'm not going to do it. I don't need it. I don't know. What am I going to do with that? I have nobody to impress. And when you're like that, when you can sit in a real estate deal and not have the pressure of having to close and make a bad decision or make something ethically wrong in your decision because you don't need the money, that's power. You know how many times people get leveraged in a real estate deal or in a transaction in general because they need that paycheck? Never do business with a person that needs the paycheck. Never go on a real estate deal with them or a financial deal with a person that has to have the paycheck, because they will make bad decisions. They'll pressure you. They'll rush the deal. They'll get you in some bad terms. You never do a deal if you have to have the deal. Never do it. That is a great advice. Never joint venture with anybody like that. And if you can, don't joint venture with anybody. Like, do it yourself, because a lot of partnerships wind up in litigation or just in a bad spot, or you lose a friend. Never do a deal with a friend, because you wind up losing them, because unless they are stone cold turkey like you are on contracts, etc., just life lessons. So that being said, I wanted to make this video. I wanted to put it out there for anybody that needs this information, because I didn't have it and it was really hard to find myself. It took me years to come up with this stuff. So comment down below if it helped, any ideas you have for those out there watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.